everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Kai, and today I have for you a very exciting video. I was sent the DVOK Dark Night collection from Sweetie Nail Supply. They asked me to do a design for you, so of course I had to do a holiday themed set. This is the first of hopefully a few to come out this month. Now, full transparency, this is a sponsored video with Sweetie Nail Supply, but I do shop them very regularly. It's no surprise if you've been around my channel. I love to do hauls of Korean and Japanese gels. Speaking of which, I did go maybe a little bit overboard for Black Friday, so I will have some haul videos coming out soon. But for now, thank you so much to everyone watching. Thank you to Sweetie Nail Supply, and let's get into this design. So first things first, I am super excited to swatch this collection. This is again the DVOK Dark Night collection. I do have the White Night set, and I recently did a full swatch video of that. If you want to check out that haul, I will have it linked in the corner. I have grown an obsession with DVOK as a brand. I've picked up, I think, every collection since the start of the year. It's kind of crazy, but I love the quality of the products. Most of them, if not all, I'm pretty sure are HEMA free. You can always check the website to find out more information about that. But each magnetic gel set comes with a magnet and a gorgeous swatch card. And I just can't get over the bottles. The long top on the bottle actually I find is very functional in that it creates a nicer handling experience when you have more to grab onto with the cap. And I appreciate that the bottles are colored so that you can right away kind of get a feel for which color is in which bottle. Here I'm just taking kind of a first look at these polishes, and they are so pretty. I'll be honest, I'm usually not too much of like a jewel toned lover, but when Sweetie Nail Supply reached out to me and asked if I would like to receive this set and do a video for you all, I know that the DVOK sets are really popular. They're magnetic gels, and I had never seen a darker set like this that had so many colors. The problem I have with buying polishes online and looking at pictures of swatches, and honestly part of why I started this channel, is because often those pictures either over or under deliver in terms of the color or the consistency. It can be hard to tell the true in-person appearance of something if you only have the pictures. I am very happy to say that I honestly think the pictures of swatches under-deliver for this collection. I was noticing colors in person in these polishes that I did not see in any of the swatches. Like this one here, I had no idea it had all of those like red, golden undertones. In swatch pictures, it looks like it's only got maybe like two colors in it, that sort of teal color and then like that purpley color, but it also has some oranges, some golds. So I was just very much surprised at the depth of color from these polishes. I think that they are super interesting with the amount of different shifting pigments. And one thing I will say though is that I do recommend using them over black for the full effect. They do give off a more muted shine if you're just going to use them on their own or over maybe like a similarly colored base. If you're going for subtlety, that's the way to go. But if you really want those colors to pop, if you really want to see all of the different shifts, I strongly recommend working over a black base. I laid on the polishes pretty thick for the swatches just so you could really see the colors. So you could work with like multiple layers, but definitely recommend a black base to get the full potency of these polishes. They are also reflective, so if you have them under a single light source or in low lighting, they are going to have some sparkly pigments. They are not going to be quite as reflective as like a solely reflective gel because a lot of the pigments in here are those magnetic particles. You can almost kind of see here which of the larger particles are the reflective ones. So it gives a really nice subtle glittery effect without being too distracting from those really nice deeper undertones of color. A lot of the nail art I've been seeing surrounding this set is very galaxy oriented, space themed, which makes total sense. These are so easy to make like an aura galaxy look because they have that shifting pigment in it in so many different colors. So I was very much inspired and wanted to do kind of like a night sky look with this, but make it Christmas, make it winter because we are in that season. I feel like I've totally failed at making trending nail designs that fit the season this year. I always have the best intentions, but unfortunately I've just been pretty busy with trying to keep up with one video a week for content and then doing my current full-time job, which is teaching. And so I really was drawn to this blue, actually, this one right here. I thought it was stunning and made for a gorgeous like night sky color because it has that blue shifting pigment, but almost like a jelly black base to it. And so that is the color that I will be focusing on. But I did just want to swatch everything so that you all get a good look at the collection in case you're looking to pick it up for yourself. Now, even though this video is sponsored, I have not been asked to say anything specific. The only stipulations were, hey, if you would like to make this video and do a design with it, we would like to sponsor you. And because I'm such a big fan of DVOK, I immediately jumped on it. I just want to make sure I'm remaining very transparent with you all about if something is a sponsored review or something that I picked up myself. So here are all of the swatches in all of their glory. Again, these really do show up best over a black background, but even so, the colors here are stunning. I have done minimal editing in terms of the actual light levels on this video. I don't do too much color adjusting. And so it was really interesting for me to see just how many colors were really in this collection that I feel like I didn't even see in the swatches. So now that we've done swatching, let's get to the nail art. I have my long almond tips already prepped, and I will be laying down some base colors with DVOK's Vanta Black and the Syrup White. I do really like both of these products as just staples. I purchased both these were not sent to me. If you do want to use any of the items I use in this video, I will have them linked below. And as always, you can support me and save 10% off Sweetie Nail Supply with the code GETPRESSED. I do really appreciate everyone who uses it. It honestly helps support this channel and allows me to keep doing hauls and in-depth reviews. So thank you so much. And speaking of allowing people to continue exploring nails, safety disclaimer, please make sure that you are avoiding contact with the uncured gel as much as possible. That is why I often wear gloves when I'm making press-ons. And always make sure to do your research on the products you'll be using before doing so. Here I am just laying down a base layer of that milky white. And then for two of the nails, I'll be going in with an ombre effect. Now, again, these polishes really do look best over black, so I laid down a black base. I thought about using a sponge here to create the ombre, but the sponge just picked up too much of the polish. As I was trying to blend it out, I was realizing I would need to do multiple layers to get the kind of blend I wanted. And so I did switch over to a new product that I actually just picked up. This is the Doughy or Nail Bio blending brush. It is number 6, and it's this really nice ombre brush with very short bristles. I find some of the longer ones that you can get pretty cheaply off of like Temu or whatever, the bristles at the end tend to clump, and then you don't really get like that blended ombre effect anyway if all the bristles are clumped together. So the shorter length of this brush just meant that I could get a fairly decent ombre, especially considering I was blending black, which is a super pigmented color. The more pigmented the color, the harder it is to get a nice soft blend. So I'm really interested to see how this performs with other softer colors because, again, I was fairly surprised with how easy it was to get a decent blend with such a dark pigmented color. So yeah, excited to try it out with some other polishes. Once I've cured that first layer of paint, I'm now going in with a second coat of the milky white, and that's really all it needed, was just 2 coats. This is honestly one of my favorite milky white polishes. It just self-levels so beautifully with a really even color payoff. It just has such a nice consistency and it's super easy to work with, so I highly recommend this milky white if you need a nice base color. I will say it is just ever so slightly on the warm side of white, So that's just something to keep in mind if you're looking for like a pure bright white. This isn't it. It is more of like a milky, warmer white. And for the star of the show, I will be using DM40, like I mentioned earlier. It's that gorgeous blue, purple, galaxy-esque polish, and you can see really nicely here that it also has these like pink, orangey gold glitters in it. It's just a really, really stunning color. Even if you don't magnetize it, I think it looks quite nice here as is. You could use it on its own as like some sort of glitter topper of sorts, but I'm just feathering out the edges before bringing those magnetic particles to the surface. Now at this point, I hadn't actually figured out which color I wanted to use yet. It was between this one or DM33, so I do try that out here. And I figured I'd leave in the footage so you can see the swatch over a black color. It has the same sort of like royal blue glittery pigment in it, but this one has more of an aqua shifting magnetic particle. And so it was a little bit too sea themed for me for this set. I decided to go with the other color, but it is really stunning. Here's the comparison between the two. Now to actually magnetize the particles, I started with the tip of the bar magnet. If you run the tip around the nail, you'll bring out those magnetic particles, bring them to the surface, and then you can take the bar magnet, the flat side of it, and hold it parallel to the nail, and you can manipulate the pigments that way. If you're not seeing the pigments move, it may be actually that you're using the wrong side of the magnet. They do have poles, so try flipping the bar over, and always make sure that that flat side, the wider side, is what's parallel to the nail. I was going for a night sky look, so I just kept running that edge around the nail to bring the pigments to the surface, and then angling that magnet in different ways to try to get like some waves and some curves. And when I liked how it looked, I gave it a cure. Magnetizing particles is always a learning process. It's always an experimenting process. So just take your time, be patient, and try different positions. Here I am adding a black background for what I thought would be some more magnetic details. I knew I wanted to do some ornaments with the mag gels, and for the middle finger, I wanted to do a deer silhouette. I thought I wanted it against a magnetic particle background. However, I do end up redoing it and doing the nail as entirely magnetic with a silhouette against a white background. Just so you know, that is why the design changes partway through the video. I just didn't want any confusion. But here I am adding the magnetic gel over the black parts and just using a liner brush to extend the gel to the edges. This is actually the nail that I redo, but I just wanted to show you how sometimes working with the magnet is really just about trial and error. I was using different angles to see what sorts of patterns I could get. And then once I was happy with it, I just gave it a cure. If you're just trying to bring the particles to the surface, then all you have to do is use the tip and run it around the edges. If you want more organic shapes, some more curves and things like that, that's when you'll probably need to start playing around with multiple magnets and or angling the bar magnet in a specific way. Even though I love magnetic gels, I am by no means an expert at them yet. I have definitely picked up some tips and tricks, and maybe I could do a dedicated video on it. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if that's something that might interest you. However, I honestly get most of my information from the brands themselves. I'll check out their Instagram. Often they will post short videos showing you how to use their products, and that goes for any product really. So yeah, I recommend if you're looking for info, definitely try the source itself. Now we are ready for chrome details, so I am using the May Mode Matte Art Gel to isolate my chrome. I recently received this from Sweetie Nail Supply, and honestly, I've been using it nonstop since for my isolated chrome. You do want to use a very thin coat, especially over like a glittery or a magnetic gel, so you don't lose the shine. And it is a wipe art gel, so you do need to rub it with some isopropyl alcohol. And after you've done that, you are ready for chrome application. So I will be using two products today, the Jello Jello Edge Gel and the Diami Mirror Powder Gel. The reason I'm using two is because they are slightly different consistencies. The edge gel is super thick, great for really skinny lines that you don't want to run, whereas the Diami gel is more runny and good for dotting. I'm going to be doing some snowflake patterns here, and I realize that unfortunately, even though I love these products and their consistencies, they are clear, so it's incredibly difficult to see what I'm actually doing. So I did insert here just a little bit of footage of me drawing the different snowflakes. For a basic snowflake design, you want to make 8 lines, 1 horizontal, 1 vertical, and 2 sets of diagonal. The diagonal lines should actually be slightly shorter so that they almost form this diamond shape here. And then you'll want to use a dotting tool to add some dots, 1 in the center and then 2 along each of the horizontal and vertical lines, and only 1 along the diagonal lines, almost so it makes like another square shape. Snowflakes really are just series of lines and dots. You want to keep it really geometric, really even. I'm using the Diami gel for the dots because it is that runnier consistency. And for the nice crisp lines, the skinny lines, I had used the Jello Edge Gel, and then I cure everything for 30 seconds. I don't think I showed which brush I was using for the lines, but it is just the Sweetie Nail Supply Liner Brush 2. They recently came out with a line of brushes that honestly are really great, affordable options if you're looking for like a higher end brush, but one that's not going to break the bank per se. So here I'm using that to create some curved lines on the ring finger. I unfortunately was out of focus for most of it, so I did lose a lot of footage there. But I was essentially trying to make like some garland hanging down from the ceiling, hanging from the cuticle area. So I did a couple of swoops and then I went in with that dotting tool and just added a few dots to create like a beaded garland look. Here's another type of snowflake, this one using some curved lines on the ends instead of just dots. I actually really love the types of snowflakes that have these curved lines. There are just so many options, and maybe I'll do another set here this winter with some other types of snowflakes because I love drawing them. And for my gold, of course, I'm using the Nail Bio Gold Chrome Powder. I actually do kind of wish I had used a colored non-wipe gel to do the line work, just because if I had used a black, it would make that gold chrome pop a little bit more. But that's okay, it was still plenty shiny. Here I'm just rubbing in the details first with a silicone tool. However, because a lot of the details were so small, I think it worked better to buff in the chrome with a blending brush. What I did here, this is just like a makeup blending brush and eyeshadow brush. I actually got this one from one of my lovely subscribers, Hype. It's just a little tester Chanel eyeshadow brush, but I feel so fancy using it, and it actually buffs in the chrome really well. I don't know what it is. I think it's like a slightly different material. It's not the rubbery, spongy material of cheaper eyeshadow brushes. It's almost more like a cloth. So yeah, super thankful to have that. Now this is a nail that I end up redoing, and it's because as I applied the chrome here, I was realizing that it was hard to see the silhouette of the deer on top of that dark background, which is sad because I actually think he came out really well. I love the look overall, and so I do end up just redoing that nail entirely, but it was a good learning experience. To be honest, most of my designs end up having at least 1 or 2 nails redone throughout the process just because I'm maybe not happy with an element, but hey, that's fine. To me, having to redo something means that I've learned, means that I've improved. Here's another example. I didn't really like one of the smaller snowflakes on one of the nails, so I take my Curare buffer and I just buff away that and then start over. Here's another simple snowflake design, this time with 6 lines. Because this one is a 6-line snowflake, I try to keep it symmetrical along like that center line instead of doing everything the same in all 4 quadrants. I really only have 2 sides of the snowflake here, but it's always fun to experiment with different patterns. And I was much happier with how the second one turned out, so I cured it for that 30 seconds, applied the chrome, and then wiped away any excess with a makeup sponge. Now here's the nail that I decided to redo. It was just way too hard to see the details of the deer. They got lost over that magnetic gel. And so to give it more of a simple background, I'm starting by outlining the circle actually in black, going all the way to the edges. This is where I will apply the magnetic gel. And then the center will be the white milky syrup gel. And over that is where I can paint the deer. And his outline will just be more apparent and have more contrast. So after I cured the black, I applied that DM40. I just brushed it on here and then used the liner brush to really bring it towards the edges. And then I magnetized everything. Again, just kind of like experimenting with the angle of the magnet, bringing all of the particles to the surface with the end. That's why you see me furiously waving the magnet back and forth there, just to bring those particles to the surface. And then I use the flat edges, hold it parallel to where I want the shine to be pulled, and just experiment with tilting it, angling it, going back and forth between the end and the flat edge to get kind of a night sky look. And once I was happy, I gave it a full cure before going on to fill in the center with that milky white. Nothing too interesting here, me just filling in the middle with that liner brush and then curing everything before applying more of the May Mode matte top coat so I can do the chroma isolation all over again. I really went into this thinking like, oh, I'm gonna do kind of an easy, more simplistic winter set, and it ended up still taking me 5 hours to make this nail set, just the one hand. Most of that time was spent on these chrome details, so here's my reference picture, and I'm going back in with my non-wipe gels. It's hard to see, I know. Next time I might try using like a colored polish to tint my non-wipe gels so that you can really see what's going on. I did also, I think, get the Cocoa's black accessory bond, so maybe I can try that out. I just feel bad because I feel like you're essentially sitting here watching me paint invisible lines, but I also didn't want to cut the footage completely just in case it could be helpful to some people. I don't know, maybe I should have because this video is quite long as it is, but I've heard that people like the longer videos. I personally do. I love putting on nail content to watch while I'm working, if it's something that I can just like put on the background and have to relax to. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know if it's still helpful. I will try to get like a black polish though to use next time. And overall, I am really happy with how this one turned out. I think you can see the deer so much better now over this white background. And I just take my buffing tools, my eyeshadow brush, and my silicone tool to really burnish in that chrome powder to get a nice silhouette. And then as usual, I'm using a makeup sponge to wipe away the excess. And here are the two nails. I don't know, you tell me which one you prefer. I definitely prefer the new one. Now this is another new product to me. This is the Ivy Fix Gel in a tube. I actually do have the jar, which I love to use. I did want to pick up the tube for easy use. And one thing to note is that the cap does screw off and there is usually like a little foil thing in there. I just removed it off camera. But I love the super tiny application nozzle. It just allows you to put a teeny tiny bit of that gel, that glue, wherever you need it without making a big mess or having to dirty a brush. And here I'm just applying some little laser cut snowflakes that I had. Since they are just really thin pieces of metal, I was able to kind of bend it with my tweezers a bit just to fit the shape of my nail better. That way they aren't sticking out on the edges. So I placed that down in the glue and gave it a flash cure. I'm using my trusty pin cure lamp. This thing is so powerful. Honestly, I am so happy I have it. It is quite pricey, I will say that, but it is significantly stronger than some of the cheaper flash cure lamps, especially the ones that you get off of like Temu. So here I am adding another snowflake, this time a white one, to the center of what will be a 3D Christmas ornament. The same thing here, I just bent it slightly to fit the nail better, put it in place with that Ivy Fix Gel, and then flash cured everything. This light is probably so bright that you could fully cure something with it, something small, However, I don't like taking my chances. I did just pop it in my lamp before adding a couple pearl accents. Flatback pearls are probably one of my favorite decorative items. I don't know, they just add such a nice, simple touch. I'm putting them on kind of like the areas where an ornament would attach to the string, just kind of like hide that connector area. For the thumb specifically, I wanted to use some caviar beads to mimic like a chain hanging from this ornament, or I guess supporting the hanging of said ornament. So I just added some of my smallest caviar beads and tried to get them into a straight line. I found that using my tweezers was an easy way to align them. I do really recommend this kind of tweezers if you're going to be working with small charms, just because I find that they're easier to maneuver than like bigger, bulkier ones, especially if they have like an angle to them. I can't remember where I got these. I think they might have actually been from like Marshalls or TJ Maxx or something, but they're just straight edge tweezers. Here I'm adding some final little 3D elements, just a pearl here in the center to look like some sort of frame. I don't know, I just thought it brought the look together. I love adding 3D elements, even if it's just small ones. And for the top coat, I'm using the Mayo glass top. I really like this because it's quite a thin top coat in comparison to a lot of the others that I have, and I find it just floats over chrome details really well without disturbing the powder underneath because it is on the thinner side. I also have already contaminated this one specifically with some chrome fallout, so I have one dedicated top coat for my chrome powders. That way I'm not accidentally getting any sort of glitter in a regular nail set that does not contain chrome, because that is super annoying, especially if you cure it, because once you cure it, there's no going back unless you want to file it away and then re-top coat. And you might have thought we're done, but oh no, we are not. I, for some reason, like to make super long videos and super long sets. So here I am taking one of my favorite 3D products. This is the Jinbei Crazy Thick and a liner brush, the Sweetie Nail Supply liner number 1. And I am just adding a thick layer over that ornament on the thumb finger. I start by painting over the entirety of the ornament shape so that you have kind of like a slip layer to work on. And then I build up the volume by just adding more and more of that 3D gel. This is non-wipe, which means once we cure it at the end, I don't have to top coat it or anything and lose any of that definition. You do just want to make sure that you're giving this a full cure in your nail lamp after you flash cure in place, just to ensure that you don't have any sort of uncured gel under the surface. The good news is, since it's clear, it will definitely cure all the way through. And then for the last 3D element, the sort of ice effect under 2 of the nails, I will just be using some regular saran wrap, cutting it into small squares. You really don't need a lot of this. I would say only make these squares slightly bigger than the underside of the nail. Even here, I had probably too much product. Then you take a thick gel, something like the Crazy Thick from Jinbei, and you want to lay down a really thick layer. Avoid where your actual nail will sit. And here I'm cutting the saran wrap even smaller because I didn't need that much. You really only need a piece a little bit bigger than the underside of the nail, and you stick it straight into the uncured gel. Use some tweezers or something sharp to create some divots, some ridges, and once you're happy with the shape, flash cure in place, and then you can just peel the saran wrap away. Give it a full cure after this process, but that's basically it. You can file away the underside edges to clean it up, but it's a lot easier of a technique than it might seem. My only recommendation is that you definitely try to use a non-wipe 3D gel. If you use a wipe 3D gel, you're going to have a sticky mess under there, and if you try to top coat it, you will get rid of some of that definition and lose that really nice ice effect. Okay, and for the very last step, I will be using the DVOK Canvas Mini Collection, just the white. This is a solid cream texture gel. Really though, any sort of like white texture gel that you have will work. I'm just going to be using this to add some snow. This stuff is non-wipe, so I can use it as a last step on the nail set here. And I just painted over the top edges of some of the different shapes on various nails. Here I'm coating the top of the ornament with that 3D gel. I start with smooth lines and then I go in and I purposefully kind of like add more texture by making it messy, just so it really does emulate what like a piled up snowdrift would look like. I'll be honest, up until this point, I wasn't really sure how I was feeling about the set. Like I liked it, but I really felt like it was missing something, and the snow just did the trick. It added that last bit of texture that I felt was missing and really brought everything together theme-wise. So I am overall pretty pleased with the design. If there is something I would change, it would probably be to make the little Christmas ornament on the thumbnail bigger, more of like a statement 3D piece. I honestly would even consider doing it as like an aquarium of some sort. At this point, I'd worked on this set for like 5 hours and I was tired. I'm still kind of tired right now. It is like 12:30 and I'm trying to do the voiceover so I can post at my regular time on Sundays. But yeah, overall, I am happy with the look and I am very excited to have this collection to use. After the holidays, I really want to experiment with more like celestial, sort of space themed sets. I'm really into that aesthetic right now. But first, I have to focus on the holidays, and here is how my first Christmas set of the season turned out. I do have plans for some more winter designs, one being a really cute cinema roll set. I also have a collab with some other nail artists that I'm excited about coming up later in December. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what your plans are for the holiday season. If you celebrate, if not, I hope you have a lovely winter regardless. Thank you so much again to Sweetie Nail Supply for sponsoring this video. If there's one thing I can't believe this season, it's how much my channel and the community surrounding my channel has grown since the start of the year, since I really started doing YouTube videos consistently. So I can't thank you all enough, and I feel so lucky and honored to be in the position that I am. I just hit 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, which again, forever grateful for. It's actually kind of hard for me to put into words how I feel because I tend to be a little bit more of a closed off person. But yeah, I look forward to continue growing with you all in the coming year. Check out my Discord if you'd like to connect there with some other awesome nail artists. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!